All right, guys, so today on the Frugal Homestead, we've been doing some talking. In our current situation, we used to feel like we were very well prepared, but like anything, you got to learn to grow and adapt. And the current situation with coronavirus has definitely taught us that we're not as prepared as we thought we were. Now, compared to most people, we're probably pretty prepared, honestly. We are not hurting for food or anything else. It's just, depending upon how long this goes, affects us. And that, as homesteaders, probably shouldn't be that way. When we had our boys living at home, we ran 3 full gardens. Okay, we had the top one, and then we had the enclosed one, and then we had this lower one. And then we have beds all over the property and different things, bushes, trees. And it's come to our attention that it's probably worth the time and the investment to go ahead and reopen the lower garden and reclaim it, because we kind of let it go back to grass, and start planting in it in the upcoming year. Not necessarily because we think that we're going to necessarily need it, but at least to bolster our supplies that we are now dipping into pretty heavily, and also be more prepared for the future if necessary. Now, originally we had planned on bringing this bed back, or this garden back in beds, in raised beds, but because of money, time constraints, and other things, it seems like it's just the best idea just to do it straight in direct ground. Now, in order to reclaim this ground, we're going to have to cover it now. It's going to rain for the entire next week. So if we get it covered today, it's going to trap the moisture from the week before that it's been raining, and it'll also run water under whatever we cover it with, because it's on a slope, and moisten the ground, soften it, making it easier to plant in later. This is also how we kind of kill off the grass and weeds. It's kind of how we start out our gardens. We cover them up for as long as possible. Then when we pull them up, we start prepping them. So today you're going to see us just take the cardboard that we had left over from hauling the block home on the pallets, and anything else we can find, tarps, chunks of plastic, whatever, to cover this ground up to prepare it for the future for planting. So come along with us as we reclaim our third garden. Alright guys, so you can see, using only free resources we had laying around the farm, we covered up the ground. It may not be perfect, but it'll start the process to let the ground get wet. Obviously it's going to rain for the next week. That'll allow all this cardboard to get soaked, and then it's going to adhere to the ground better, which means wind won't be such a problem. But as you saw, we just used whatever we could find to weight down everything so it can't blow away, because even now I'm sure you might even be able to hear the wind starting to pick up pretty heavily. That's going to be normal considering the cold front that's coming in, that's bringing in a week's worth of rain. So that's just going to soften things up, bring the worms up. Everything here is going to get soft and get ready for the planting season. Now, this is not a necessity. We're doing this because we are encountering something that probably ain't ever going to happen again in our lifetime. But if it does, we want to be ready. But it doesn't just have to be a pandemic virus. It could be an economic downturn. This could roll out and be a problem financially for us long term. So we're just ensuring and hinging every bets. We are lucky that we have property and we're not stuck in an apartment. But still, the concept of let's just sit back and watch Netflix and that's the best thing to do. I don't live that life. But I'm not going to go out and endanger others either. I'm here on my property. I'm doing what I can on the outside. We'll be bringing you videos to show what we're doing on the inside as well with this time. Nothing's perfect. Just do the best you can every single day to improve your setup. We are not preppers. We are not, giant scale farmers. We're not anything. We are just human beings trying to do what our ancestors did, which was be prepared for the future, right? You grew up a very country life where canning, gardening was a big part of life. I did too. Wild foraging was also a big part of our lives, picking berries and such. We need to get back to those practices. It's as simple as that. The human race's survival will long-term depend on that just because we're growing so much, not because of any of this stuff that's going on. Getting back to those practices means we have our own food, our own things right here. And we don't have to rely on others. For what we do have to rely on others for, we should keep minimalized. Nothing's perfect. Just do the best you can with what you have. And that's exactly what we're doing here today. Because we didn't have to go anywhere or spend any money to do this. We invested time. We invested that of ourselves for our future. Some people may say it's silly, say just run a tiller. We don't own a tiller. All of our stuff is no-till method. Go back to Eden. So we've got mulch here, we've got chips, and we've got compost going. But this ground has hardened up some. It is a spot that used to be a garden, so it still has the ability to recover faster than regular ground. But I'm going to have to hand tear all this up, so the softer I can make it now, the less work later. And I've got a lot of projects coming up, so trying to hand dig things is not something to tie on my list. So,
and the cardboard will get your friends helping you.
Yep, the worms. But also,
we're going to start tearing it up underneath here.
Yep, and also, whenever we put cardboard down, we have a mole problem. And this is the only time I don't mind having a mole problem, because they will be under there just scurrying around, tearing stuff up, mice as well. Things will be moving around under here, and bugs will start hiding under it as the warmer temperatures come, and it's going to bring the life up in the soil and soften everything up. A week worth of heavy rain coming is going to be disastrous for some of the low-lying areas around us, and I really go out and I feel for them. But at the same time, I'm using it to work for me. I know something bad's coming. I'm going to use it to my advantage the best I can to soften all this ground. So if not already, please go down, hit the notification bell so you can see all of our upcoming videos. We will take you step by step as we turn this garden back into a productive member of our system. And as long as many other things we're getting ready to do, we're just breaking into the season. Everybody's kind of scratching their head, waiting to let that breath out and see what's going to happen next. I'm not waiting. I'm not going out there and bothering anyone, or I'm following all the mandates to the letter, if not more. Staying here on the homestead is nothing new for us. This is what we do this time of year anyways, and we ain't bothering nobody. And that's what we're going to be following on. So make sure you subscribe so you can see how we did it, and maybe even leave us some comments, some tips of what you're doing right now. We can always improve. Let's hear from you. So until next time, I'm Tony.
I'm Missy.
And make sure that you come visit us here at the Frugal Homestead.